In this video, we're going to take a look at debugging in the Netbeans IDE. Many Learning Java textbooks will save the debugger for the very end of the book. I think it should be in the beginning, because learning the debugger will help you to learn how to program. And it will save you a lot of time while you're learning to program, so I cover it very early compared to typical. So why do we want to learn the debugger? It'll save you a lot of time this semester, trust me on this. If you're looking at source code and trying to figure it out just by reading it, you can help yourself quite a bit by debugging through it and looking at what is actually happening when the computer is running the code. You can watch it at your own pace, and you can watch the value of variables while the program is running. As a matter of fact, you can even change the value of variables while the program is running and see how the program will react to that. Now, let me give you one other good scenario for why it's important to learn the debugger as a professional in the field of information technology. You sit down for Thanksgiving dinner and the family asks what you're up to these days, and you tell them that you're learning programming. You will get two responses to that. One of your family members will ask you, "Hey, can you fix my printer? It's broken." To which I respond, "Well, so is mine." The other thing you'll get is, "Hey, I have an idea for $1 million iPhone app. Do you want to partner with me and write it for free?" Although maybe not in those words. That being said, that's a lot of times what people think we do as programmers is fix printers and write iPhone apps from the ground up. But the reality is, a lot of time as programmers, we are working with code that we did not write. Somebody else wrote it. We have to go in and fix it. Or there's an error and we have to find out where the error is. Or even more likely, we start a new job, no one has time to train us, and so they say, "Here, look at the source code and try and figure it out." So the debugger is your best friend. And also, you can program the debugger. You can have it do things conditionally, which is really cool. So debugger is our best friend. Let's pop in and take a look. This is the vehicles project that we've been working with so far. And we have our main method. We know that's a magic method because that's where our program starts. However, we don't want to put too much stuff in the main method because it gets sloppy if we have 200 lines in there, 300 lines. It starts to get really disorganized and it does not lend itself well to reuse. So we like to put logic in methods, and we like methods to be very small and specific. So 2 to 50 lines or so is a guideline that we typically use. Now, a lot of times when I'm teaching intro programming, somebody will tell me, "Well, I'm running my program, but I don't understand. Whoops, I don't understand. It doesn't work." Well, that's because, or it doesn't do anything. That's because the main method is going to get called first, and the program is only going to do what is in the main method. If I don't have a call to another method, then after the main method's done, the program is done. Now, on the other hand, if I do have a call to another method, it is going to step into that method. And that word "step into" is very important. Because if I go to debug, you're going to see something called step into and something called step over. This will make a little more sense when we actually walk through the debugger. But step over means execute this line, go to the next. Step into means if I'm on a method call, step into that method call because I want to see what that method is actually doing. So I'm going to click on the line 21, which puts in a little Pepto-Bismol color on that line. I'm also going to put a break on 29, which puts a Pepto-Bismol color line there. Now, what's the meaning of this Pepto-Bismol color? It means when I debug the program is going to run until it sees this Pepto-Bismol colored line, and then it's going to pause and wait for me to tell it to continue. I can tell it to continue one of two ways, either step over or step into. And actually there are several others you see here, but we're just going for a quick look right now, so we're not going to worry about all the other details here. So how do I debug a program? Well, I right-click and I choose Debug. When I choose Debug, you're going to see the Pepto-Bismol colored line turn green as it just did. And you see the program is waiting now. As a matter of fact, you can see a little kind of hourglass type thing down at the bottom. It's waiting for me to give it input. Now, what should I choose here? Should I choose step over, which is F8, or step into, which is F7? Well, assuming I didn't have the breakpoint on line 29, Step over would just run the program essentially because it would execute this prompt user method. But let's choose step into and watch what happens to the green line. So I could go to the debug and step into method up at the top, or I can just press F7. It's a lot quicker to press F7, so I'll do that. You see F7, the green line now goes to the first line of the prompt user method. And then I choose F8. And at this point, what's happening? It has popped up the J option pane that we put in an earlier video, and it's prompting me. So in other words, it is executing line 28 right now, which is why you can see a faint green there, but I can't move forward until I have satisfied this input. So how many miles per gallon does the vehicle get? We'll say 25, and I choose OK. Oh, now take a look at that. You see the green line went from 28, where it was doing the prompt, down to line 29, which is the next line. And now take a look at the bottom. Do you see the variables tab? This is very important. Do you see miles per gallon, string 25? You see that? So you see that's the value that I just entered. And as a matter of fact, I could change that to 20 if I wanted. So you see, I'll go ahead and change it back to 25. But while I'm running the debugger, I can see all of the variables that I'm using currently, and I can even change the values that those variables are holding. Okay, let's continue. I'm going to choose F8. And you see now we have the integer value, which was converted on line number 29. It took the string value 25. We know it's a string because the type is string, and also the value is in quotes. We parse that to an integer, which we're storing in a variable called mpg. And you see that integer has a value of 25, and it tells us the type is int. I can also hover over any of these variables to see their values. And in this case, it's a string, so I can expand it and see a little bit more as well. Really handy stuff. Now, I'll continue with F8 and F8 again, and we get how far do you want to go. By the way, one forewarning on this. This is the J option pane, just like the one we saw before. Since the beginning of history, or at least the beginning of me using Netbeans, which was originally called Forte for Java, or Sun 1 Studio, I think it was at one point, when you're running the debugger, the first time a J option pane comes up, it hides behind the Netbeans IDE. So if you are debugging and you don't see this J option pane come up, particularly the first one, just do a little Alt-Tab and see if you see it elsewhere on your desktop. It's always worked that way. Don't know why, just the first one. Afterwards, every J option pane you show after that, it does actually put it on top of Netbeans. So just a little caution there. How far do you want to go? Let's say I put in just garbage data. Okay, and I choose OK. And oh, shucks, I didn't mean to put in that garbage data. So I'll go ahead and change that to 100. Okay, really good for what-if analysis. Okay, now we have int distance. We're parsing 100 as a string to 100 as an integer. Now here's where things get pretty cool. I can mouse over distance and I see 100 divided by 25. Gallons consumed should be 4. Let me go ahead and choose F8, mouse over. And sure enough, I can verify that gallons consumed is indeed 4. Now, gallons of gas is 10, minus 4 gallons consumed. I expect gallons of gas remaining after executing this line should be 6. You see, right now, gallons of gas is 10, but we're reassigning it on this line. We're saying gallons of gas equals gallons of gas minus gallons consumed. So I choose F8, and I confirm I mouse over gallons of gas is 6, gallons of gas is 6. So you see how the debugger can really help you walk through a program that you have written, and it can help you see how that program works. It can also help you in this case where you want to verify that your if test is set up properly. So if gallons of gas is greater than or equal to 0, and what is gallons of gas? It's 6. Then we're going to execute the first block. Remember, a block is something that's enclosed in parentheses, or curlies actually. And we're going to skip the second block. Okay, let's verify that that's the case. So watch the mint green line. F8 takes us to the first block. F8 again takes us to the end of this method and skips the else block. So when you have complicated nested logic, the debugger can really help you kind of see through that. F8 again, and then we're back to our very first method call, and then I can simply choose F5 to tell it, thank you so much, I'm all done with this debug session. Now we'll quickly run through this one more time, and we will do an out of gas simulation. So right click, prompt user. This time I'll choose F8. Remember, F7 is step into, and when I did F7 before, it went right to line 28. But what happens when I choose F8? You see, it went ahead and executed line 28 without having me actually step over line 28. F8 means continue to the next breakpoint. In other words, keep running without any interaction until the next breakpoint. If there is no further breakpoint, then just continue running the program as if you're not debugging. So what happened here is the next breakpoint, well, let's take a look. It's going to call prompt user. Prompt user is going to execute line 28, which gives us this little pop-up dialog we see here. And it's going to continue until it sees another breakpoint. As a matter of fact, to demonstrate this point, why don't I go ahead and move the breakpoint a little bit lower. We'll move it down here to line 32. And what you'll see, because I pressed F8, is it's not going to make me step over each of these lines. It's simply going to run until it finds the next breakpoint. So how many miles per gallon does the vehicle get? We'll say 20. How far do you want to go? Let's, as I said, we're going to do a run out of gas scenario, so I'm going to say 1,000 miles. Notice that it's prompting me, and I'm not telling the debugger to run the next line, run the next line. Also notice there are no mint green lines that are showing in the editor. If there were a mint green line, it would mean I'm on this line right now, and here's where I'm going to go next, so on and so forth. So I choose 1,000. And we're physically looking at line number 31. Do you see this text, how far do you want to go? Just remember that. We're physically looking at this line 31. Now watch, when I choose OK, it's going to run to the next breakpoint, which is line 32, and that line will light up green. There we go. The line is green. I choose F8. It does the math we did before. What's our gallons consumed? Gallons consumed is 50. Gallons of gas is 10. That's going to run us out of gas. Once again, watch this if test very carefully, because gallons of gas is going to be a negative value. We'll see gallons of gas is negative 40. Negative 40 is not greater than or equal to 0. So we'll skip this first part, if test, and it's going to drop down to the else part here. Again, watch the mint green line. Going to skip line 37. Going to go straight to line 39. So F8, and there we go. Skipped right to line 39. Debugging, really nice when you're working with conditionals like if tests, also really nice when you're working with loops. We'll go ahead and finish this off with an F5. So, a couple other things I'll point out. First of all, when you're learning the debugger, the first 3 times you try it, you're going to hate it and give up. Don't give up. Keep trying. Keep trying, because the sooner you really get the hang of the debugger, the more time you're going to save yourself learning Java. I assure you that's going to happen. The quicker you can learn this, the more sense your programs are going to make, and the easier it's going to be for you to find bugs. Go ahead and make that investment, learn the debugger. Number 2, if I've piqued your interest a bit here, I did mention the debugger is programmable. Let's consider a scenario where maybe I want the debugger only to stop when distance is greater than a certain amount. So it's just like an if test, just like the if test we've done here. I'm going to move the breakpoint down to line 34. And I'm going to say right-click on the little pink box and choose Properties. Now condition, I can use the variables that are here in my program. So I can say gallon, or let's say distance greater than 100. How about that? Break when hit count, that's used in loops. All kinds of other things that we can do in here. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I choose OK. You notice the square changes a little bit. Let me take off this breakpoint. I'm going to debug. In the first trip around, I'm going to say, okay, I get 25 miles per gallon. I want to go 50 miles. And we'll notice that the breakpoint doesn't hit. We go ahead and get our output. Gas consumed 2, gallons remaining 8. So we get this line right here, and the breakpoint didn't actually hit. Let's try it one more time. This time, we're going to say, sure, 25 miles per gallon. I want to go 200 miles. And I choose OK. And boom. You see that? The Pepto-Bismol line turned green, and now I can debug. When you're using industrial strength software, it's common to have loops and things like that, where, or say loops over products, loops over customers, where a piece of code could get hit thousands of times within 1 minute or even within a few seconds. That's where this conditional bugging is really helpful, because it helps you to look at edge cases and test for edge cases. So now we've seen the debugger. For the duration of this video series, you'll see me use the debugger quite a bit to explain some concepts. Hopefully that will help it gel with you as well. So I hope this video has been helpful. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next. Thank you.